826, 827, 828, 829, 830, 831, 832, 833, 834, 835, 836, 837, 838, 839, 840, 841, 842, 843, 844, 845, 846, 847, 848, 849, 845, did you say?
People die. I'm not wearing the boxers or your mic.
I apologize, Mr. President, for bringing us back. On page 825, item 10, paragraph 10, number 5. It's Sama, not Sarna. It's Ahmed Sama, Ahmed M. Sama.
All right, thank you. I'll take note of that. $849. $850. $851. $852. $853. $854. $855. $856. $857. $858. $859. 860, 861, 862, 863, 864, 865, 866, and 867. Senator Buhari Abdul Fattah, Oyo North.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleague, Buhari Abdul Fattah, Oyo North. I move that the vote on proceeding for Tuesday, 23rd October 2018 be approved. I so move.
Senator Fatima Raji Razaki, Ekiti Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Fatima Raji Razaki, representing the Ekiti Central Senatorial District. I rise to second that the vote on proceeding Tuesday, 23rd October 2018 be approved. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 23rd October 2018 be approved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Votes and proceedings Tuesday, 23rd October 2018 is hereby approved. Announcements. Letter from Senator Mao Wabunwa, Senate President, conferment of a PhD, honoris causa degree in political science by Gregory University, Uturu, Abia State. It is my pleasure to inform you and my colleagues that the Gregory University in Uturu will be awarding me an honorary doctorate degree at the third convocation ceremony at university holding on Saturday, 27th October 2018 at the university convocation ground. I've been informed that the award is in recognition of my various contributions to the politics and development of Abia State and the nation. I therefore invite you and all my colleagues to be there to share this occasion with me. Thank you and God bless. Senator Mao Wabunwa. Distinguished, I congratulate you on behalf of all our colleagues. I wish to acknowledge the presence of staff and students of Nuru Bayan International Academy, Abuja, who are in our gallery to observe our Senate proceedings. I wish you fruitful observation of our Senate proceedings. You can now sit down. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President.
Leader, there's a petition from Senator Mao Wabunwa. Yes, Senator Mao.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Senator Mao Wabunwa North. Mr. President, this is a petition from one of my constituents, Barrister Lady Rosemary Uku, who worked meritoriously with the Exchange Investment and Securities Tribunal for several years, and who retired a year or 2 years ago. And after this retirement, she's been pleading with the management of the commission to pay her entitlements, both as retirement package and other entitlements. But as we speak, the payment is yet to be made, and she's asking the Senate to intervene and to ensure that the chairman of the tribunal, Mr. Isaiah Idoko, is compelled to pay her due entitlements after meritorious service for 35 years. So, Mr. President, with your permission, I will lay this because there are no judicial encumbrances at all.
Yes, go ahead. Petition refers to ethics and privileges. Report back in 2 weeks. Yes, point of order, Senator Dinumilai.
Mr. President, my very respected colleagues, Dino Melai, Kogi West. Mr. President, my colleagues, I draw celestial inspiration this morning from the rules of the Senate, Order 42. If I have the nod of Mr. President, I beg to read. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. Mr. President, I have always said, if you speak the truth, you will die. If you lie, you will die. So it's always better to speak the truth and die peacefully. Mr. President, my colleagues, I bring to the notice of this respected chamber and Nigerians this day a monumental fraud that is taking place. And Mr. President, I have profound evidence to buttress, elucidate, and prove that there is massive corruption that's about to be incubated. Mr. President, this is in relation to the Paris Club refund, where already there is a plan between the Paris Club refund and the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, where over $200 million have been warehoused as I speak with the Central Bank of Nigeria. And this money is about, already there's a sharing formula to defraud Nigerians of this amount of money. Mr. President, if I have the leave of the Senate, I will want to bring a substantive motion on the next legislative day.
Distinguished colleagues, in line with our rules, and take the leave of the members to approve this motion on next legislative day. Those of you who say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. This is sit down for next legislative day. Leader of the Senate. The order sent to Unkui.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I would wish to come under Order 42 and 52. If I may go ahead to read, Mr. President. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before the commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. And because of the urgency of the matter, Mr. President, I still want to join to be allowed under Order 52, which I will still read, Mr. President, that notice shall not be dispensed within the case of a motion in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required except with the consent of Mr. President. Mr. President, I have yesterday spoken to you about the very unfortunate and sad incidents that is happening currently in Kaduna State and environment. The urgency of the matter indeed requires I speak to you and I did, and I would wish to seek your indulgence and the indulgence of the Senate.
Okay. Distinguished colleagues, line with rules. I need the leave of our colleagues for us to take this motion. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Go ahead, Senator Nkwi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, this motion, as I have said, is on the unfortunate, unmindful, inhuman, unnecessary and avoidable killings and the incidents that has precipitated the Kaduna State government in bringing about curfew that has been on the Kaduna metropolis for almost the third day running. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate is invited to note the wanton killings which started earlier last week in Kasuwan Magani, a suburb of Kaduna metropolis within the Chukun local government area of Kaduna State. Disturbed that there was ample need to draw attention of the Senate and the general public to the wanton destruction of lives and property that has been spiral in the last few days of the week, between last week till today. The Senate is invited to note the indiscriminate, senseless killings and insecurity that has pervaded Kaduna metropolis and environ, even with the curfew imposed 24 hours in town. The Senate is further to note that the curfew, while necessary to curb the excesses of the unwarranted movement of hoodlums around town, has failed to arrest the sporadic and incessant killings that has continued unabated, even as it is happening, or it happened yesterday night. Worried that looking people by what has been provided by the curfew within their homes and their immediate hamlets, other vices have continued to happen uncontrolled and unabated. Mr. President, this shows, and this goes to show, that the curfew might have in its own precinct been able to control situation that may be unwarranted, but at the same time has provided openings, windows for hoodlums around town to go about killing people unnecessarily. Aware that the paramount ruler of Adara land, one of the second-class chiefs in Kaduna State, the Agon Adara, has been taken hostage within or in the past 6 days or so, along his own aides, for which the aides' bodies had been found within and around the vicinity where the paramount ruler has been taken hostage. It is alarming, Mr. President. This is happening for almost the third or fourth time in Kaduna State, where a traditional ruler has been taken hostage within the situation which we believe government has some control measure, at least for the lives of the people generally, but particularly for the traditional institution and the leaders for who stand to be rulers of the people and the people for who they look up onto on issues pertaining to leadership and security. Mr. President, as I stand and as I speak, the curfew is still on, the fear is still reigning, the situation appears still, though peace has returned, but one can safely say it is the peace of the graveyard. People are alarmed and in fear as this silence has continued to pervade within the large city of Kaduna metropolis. Mr. President, I have gone to list out about 4 prayers after this motion. The first prayer, Mr. President, that a special condolence visit to the people and government of the Kaduna State on the lives that has been lost in Kasuan Magani, Kaduna metropolis, and particularly the Adara chiefdom who have lost their kin and kith. Prayer number 2, Mr. President, urgent call on Kaduna State government and the federal government to quicken the process on the release of the paramount ruler of Adara land, the Agwam Adara, who has been whisked away since about a week ago. 3, a minute's silence for the repose of the souls and lives that have been lost during this unfortunate period. Last but not the least, Mr. President, urgent need for NEMA to step in to assist those in need of assistance, particularly foodstuffs and medicaments, particularly for those who have to go out on daily basis to earn their livelihood and have been locked in their houses for almost 4 days running today. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Ahmed Abubakar, Adamawa South.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Senator Ahmed Abubakar, Adamawa South. I hereby, second the motion as approved by Senator Hunkui about the unwanted destructions and killings of lives in Kaduna. In fact, sir, as I stand now to speak, the same thing is happening in Adamawa, in Lamur, the local government. Lafia town was attacked last night by some militias. Many people were killed and houses were burned. Last week, the same thing along the same Demsa to Numan Road. Vehicles were attacked, people were killed, and then houses were also burnt. These killings is becoming, this is stopped some few months back, but now it is back again. Actually, you don't know why it is happening right now at the times when we are doing our primaries. Because the one in Adamawa definitely has subsided for a long time, and we don't know what provoked. Just overnight, vehicles were stopped on the road, people were taken out and killed, and the vehicles burned in Numan Jalingo Road. For about 3 or 4 places it happened. But that of last night, actually the town of Lafia was ransacked by the militias around 3 a.m. and a lot of people were killed. So, you know, the taking of life of a human being, you know, that definitely is very, very, very grave, and it cannot be condoned by anybody. And whatever is happening in Kaduna or in Adamawa or in any other part of Nigeria cannot be condoned by this chamber. So the prayers, you know, as asked by Senator Hunkui, definitely apply to both Kaduna, Adamawa, and any other part of Nigeria where this is happening. Particularly, definitely, our security agencies must be alive to their responsibility, because all these flashpoints, I don't know why it will carry, and you know, it will stop. Military men and policemen were stationed in the area, but then, you know, overnight it will come out again, and a lot of people are going to be killed overnight. So, sir, we are calling this chamber to actually come again with any other device we can get to make sure that we stop this killing. Our security agents must be alive to their responsibility. I so second. Thank you.
Senator Morukurufi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Omar Ibrahim Kuripi, representing Kasar Central. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this killing is coming now almost everywhere. We have this kind of killings, Adamawa, Zamfara, and all over. So, Mr. President, I think there is need that now we set a committee. This is the security. Actually, as a matter of fact, our police are not doing much on this. The only reliable force we can rely on this now is the army and the air force. So there is need for us now to set a very strong committee to see that we actually have strong forces to see that this thing is killing. We senators see, we cannot put our arms seeing this kind of people have happened. We cannot close our eyes and we can't be moved. There must be actions that we must take to reduce this killing. Mr. President, I so submit.
Senator Shehu Sani, Kaduna Central.
I stand as Senator Shehu Sani of the People's Redemption Party.
But I can't hear you, the mic, your mic.
I stand as Comrade Senator Shehu Sani from the PRP, Redemption Party. Ah, no. Mr. President, I thank my elder brother, Senator Humphrey, for this motion. This motion is a narrative of the situation in Kaduna today, and it is also indicative of the history of religious and ethnic violence in the last 25 to 30 years. We are deeply concerned in a state that is sensitively divided between Muslims and Christians. There is the urgent need for community leaders, religious leaders, and leaders of thought to rise to the occasion. Killings of innocent persons in the name of religion or ethnic identity is a serious threat, not just to the peace of the people of Kaduna State, but the peace and stability of the country as a whole. Kasuwa Magani and many other communities in Kaduna State has in the last 20 to 25 years been faced with this kind of violence. The mindless killings is utterly condemned. We must rise as Nigerians to fight those who are attempting to bring down the roof of our country, capitalizing on issues and problems that are of no consequences. The motion puts the spotlight the need for us to embrace peace and tolerance. And I will use this opportunity to call on the federal government to intervene in terms of aid to assist those who fell victims to this crisis. This is a time to stand up against hostility. It's a time to stand up against hate speech. It's a time to stand up against division and divisiveness. This Senate should come out strongly with a condemnation on this violence and also insist on the need for people to stand up to this occasion. I thank those who have contributed to this debate and are also intending to contribute today. Kaduna State occupies a strategic place in the political geography of Nigeria. And there's a need for all and sundry to raise the voice against this violence and to give all assistance that are necessary to restore peace and order. This is the country we have and it's only one we can call our own. Preserving its peace and stability.
Thank you, Mr. President. Illegal AK-47s.
Territory is ensuring peace in all parts of the country. I thank you very much.
Yes, Senator Samegu.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Sam Ewu. I represent Erosion Senatorial District. Mr. President, the unfortunate incident that we are discussing now has reached a stage that we are gradually turning to a state of anarchy. A situation where killings have come to become almost a daily occurrence. If it is not Boko Haram, it is the herdsmen and farmers attack. If it is not that, it is militia that will suddenly open fire on innocent citizens. If it is not that, it is communal clashes between communities. Mr. President, just 2 days ago, war criminals from Igala attacked my community in Ohuku local government and killed 9 innocent people that went to the farm, including women. They killed, beheaded, and took parts to an unknown destination. Some were even kidnapped. This happened about 2 days ago. Before then, between Ibagu community in Ebony and some community in Cross River, they also attacked us, attacked my community, and killed a lot of people. This has continued to happen, and nothing has been done. Mr. President, I suggest that we have come to a stage where this Senate should take very serious measures to mitigate this situation. It is not good always to stand up and have 1 minute silence every time, and it will continue to happen. I will suggest, Mr. President, if it is possible, can the National Assembly close to show the seriousness of the situation so that the government will know that they have a duty to address this unfortunate issue. The killing has become so much. Life has no meaning again. Hearing of killing doesn't make any sense again.
Every day it is a daily occurrence. I suggest that this unusual situation requires an unusual approach. And the approach I'm suggesting, Mr. President, is that if government has failed to do anything and the police has failed to do anything, we should not be seen to not be doing anything. We should close and send a signal to the country, to the President and all the agencies that we at the National Assembly are not happy with the level of killings in this country. I rest my case, Mr. President.
Senator Marafa.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my well-respected colleagues, Senator Kabiru Marafa, representing the Central. Mr. President, let me start on the note of condolence to those that lost their loved ones, the injured, and those that were affected in one way or the other as a result of this very unfortunate incident that is happening in Kaduna. Mr. President, let me also congratulate my brother and friend, Sule Hunkui, for bringing this motion. Mr. President, so many speakers have spoken about this unfortunate incident. I just felt, as a resident of Kaduna for over 30 years, I think I have a little to add on this issue. Much has been said about this kind of crisis in Nigeria, and it is unfortunate today that life no longer means anything to Nigerians. On the slightest opportunity, people rise and kill one another on very flimsy excuses. My friend Senator Hunkui spoke about so many things. At a point I was at a loss as to what actually he was trying to say. I believe one of the prayers that Hunkui is supposed to bring on this motion, or the most important prayer, Mr. President, is that of deterrent. Why we miss the whole of these issues in Nigeria is because people can kill and get away with it. This is the truth of this matter. Sule Hunkui is a living witness when me and him escaped death by the whiskers some 30 years ago in one of the very first incidences in Kaduna, when me and him drove from Angorimi to his house then in Badiko. And we all know what happens. Mr. President, from that time to today, nobody has been brought to book as far as Kaduna crisis is concerned. Anytime there is problem, and here I don't mean there is one side that is just guilty. All the sides are guilty, but we all know what happened. The last time an issue came on this floor, I spoke about Zangon Katab. And we knew what happened in Zangon Katab, and we knew the processes that we went through, and we knew what happened eventually. Mr. President, as long as we want to stop these issues, then the issue of punishing those that are guilty must come in focus. So my thinking is, in his prayers, he would either urge the federal government or the state government to put in place a high-powered committee that will investigate the root causes of these problems and who the perpetrators are, who I believe, whom we knows, and so many people knows, yes, what is happening in Kaduna, with a view to punishing these people so that this ungodly act of killing people can stop. Mr. President, on the issue of curfew, I don't know. I think Kaduna State Governor needs to be pressed on this issue, Mr. President. When this issue broke out, the governor was out of this country. And contrary to what I am used to seeing in my own state, the governor flew back into Kaduna State, put a curfew, and was on site visiting people, the injured, the killed, and those that lost their properties. So I think this is a sign of good leadership, and that is what leadership is all about. When there is problem in an area you are responsible, you are supposed to show compassion, you are supposed to show concern, and you are supposed to take drastic measures that will address those issues. The issue of curfew, as bad as it is, maybe as bad as it affects people, it became very, very necessary. Because as the mover of the motion said, even with the curfew, some hoodlums still escape one way or the other and commit more crimes in the state. So what will happen if this curfew is not in place in the first place? So, Mr. President, I think by and large, what I want to advise when we come to the prayers is to investigate the root causes of these problems, and not only in Kaduna State, but all over Nigeria, especially those communities that tend to, or that always are ready to take the lives of innocent people that are passers-by, just simply because you have the opportunity of staying just by the roadside or something. You now use that as an excuse to kill people on the road, people that doesn't even know what is happening, people that doesn't know who is affected or who is not affected. So, Mr. President, I think it is time we use this opportunity, put a high-powered committee to look into this kind of issues with a view, with the intention of getting to the root causes of these problems, and if possible, recommend some kind of punishment, especially on people who take laws into their hands, and to encourage the law enforcement agencies to always descend very heavily on people that think they have the right to take life of other citizens simply because their own rights are touched by some people. Mr. President, with these few comments, I would want to once again congratulate the mover of the motion, and when we come to the prayer, Mr. President, I would want us to look beyond this NEMA assistance, because this is an issue that we all know that we have gone past it, because NEMA cannot be everywhere and cannot support everybody and cannot do everything. We need to start looking at ways and means of addressing these issues once and for all. I thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Danjumala, Kaduna South.
Thank you, Mr. President, my colleagues. I am Senator Danjumala from Kaduna South. It's quite unfortunate for what has been happening in Kaduna State, as earlier said. But it is not the first time, or the second, or the third. And all along, nothing has been done reasonably. But for the fact that this thing happened in Southern Kaduna, in Kaduna Metropolis, I'm happy. It happens in Zamfara as well. Can you compare notes? He, the person that is from Zamfara, there should be reasons why all people can be killed anyhow like the cow. If only things are happening in Zamfara and are happening in Kaduna, what is the comparing not like? If all those that are from Zamfara are all Muslims and those from Southern Kaduna are all Christians, is it a must that people should be dying in this form? People are not supposed to die. Nobody wants anybody to lose life. Life is given by God, and nobody has reason for why life should be taken by a human being. In the first place, if I noticed that the governor was out of town, I quite appreciate it. But was he supposed to live without leaving responsibility to his duty? Who do he pass the responsibility to? At any given time, once somebody is traveling out, you must have somebody that will oversee the state for you. It is something that everybody must take into consideration. Life is just for the walking shadow, but if you don't do it the way it's supposed to be done, nothing can ever be protected. I remember in the Senate, the governor was banned from holding public office. And nothing has been done about that. I didn't know how that ban was lifted. Because if you know what you are doing, you can never allow all killings to go the way it's going. What for? We are all human beings. There should be no separate of powers or even try to look at people as if they don't know what they are doing. We are all human beings. I don't differentiate. As long as we're all human beings, nobody should take one so special than the other one. I don't criticize anybody, but I want things should be done in the rightful way. All the happenings in Kaduna State is caused by the governor of Kaduna State. Because she's not putting all the necessary things in place. The responsibility, he leaves them all. And of course, anything that happens, he knows it and he pretends not to know. That's not supposed to be. Why should other people suffer and other ones pretending not to? It is not the most that I must vote for somebody. I can vote somebody because I want that person. And if that person is not voted into power, should it be a reason for hating that person? So he's telling us that because Sarah Kaduna did not vote and you try to take revenge on them, that's supposed not to be. We are looking at all these things, we are observing, and we are always watching. Something must be done. Something must. How can you start calling the past strike or killings in 2011, comparing with now that they are trying to pay? Why is it that is he asking for federal government to give him money? Is he the only government to pay that damages? Without the damages cannot be paid by any other government, must he be the person? So if he's looking for the money, that money will not be given out. Any other person can come and pay that money, but not him in person. If you don't have regard for the human beings, we cannot allow that to be. We will not allow that. These things happen in Kaduna, and all of you should know that at any given time, it can happen to anybody. Because we are fighting this cause today to prevent the unforeseen contingencies all over the country. So don't look at the Kaduna issue as a problem alone. It can affect anybody. So I want everybody to put in the record that what is happening in Kaduna can happen in any local government or in any state. So if any good step is not taken in Kaduna State, it can fly to any other place. So I'm telling you, all brothers and sisters that are here, this issue should not be taken it lightly. Thinking of whoever must have caused this, they know who has done this. They know who is doing it. They can never pretend not to tell us that they don't know who is doing it. For having sex soldiers all over the country, telling us that these things are not supposed to be done that way. Why? Anyway, thank you.
Senator Chendu.
Thank you, Mr. President, my dear colleagues. I am Andrew Chendu. I represent Rivers East Central District. Mr. President, it is obvious we are getting tired of listening to these motions, but they are not ending. The events that lead to the sponsorship of this type of motion will not end. Every day, these motions are being sponsored. We stand up and give 1 minute silence. The other day, we were requested to increase it to 2 minutes. We are getting tired of all this. Some years ago, in particular, 1978, I had the opportunity of working with the Nigerian Agricultural Bank. And I was properly briefed on the situation that has always led to this development in Kaduna State. Like the last speaker has said, the recent development has its own successive ones. Kaduna has been a boiling pot over the years. So there must be an underlying fundamental issue that has not been assumed and brought to public limelight and discussed. Every time we are on this, it is either gunmen attacking one community or the other, or the herdsmen Fulani Wahala, or the cultists are invading one community or the other. Mr. President, I want to remind the Senate that because of these happenings, the Senate convened a summit on national security, where virtually all the security arms were invited. Under your leadership, presentations were made and resolutions passed. Mr. President, one will be tempted to ask, what has happened to these resolutions that were passed? We spend time and money to look at these issues more globally, in a holistic manner, yet there are killings in the land. There is no better definition of what we are facing other than complete madness in the land. Complete madness. Something must be done. We cannot be taking these things up in a natural basis. It is no longer salutary to be sponsoring motions. Mr. President, only 2 weeks ago, in my own very community, 4 people were slaughtered and a paramount ruler shot to death. And of course, there are security agencies. What is really going on? I want to remind ourselves that we have put all these things together and held a summit on national security. What has happened to the resolutions passed? What has happened to the agreements reached? Mr. President, what we want to ask, is there no reason why we will set up maybe an higher committee to ensure the enforcement of the provisions or resolutions passed by this parliament? Because I think, Mr. President, you should be tired of allowing these motions to pass every time. I am ashamed, and I'm sure an average senator here is ashamed that in our country, virtually every day, there's one slaughter of one person or the other. There's one crisis or the other. So this thing should be brought to a halt, or at least reasonably reduced. This is my contribution, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one more contribution, then we go to prayer. Senator Gunka, then we go to prayer.
Mr. President, it is disheartening to notice that even in Kaduna, where the Defense Academy is located, and the high body of the military training is also located at Jaji. And every year out, year in, we keep on allocating a huge amount on defense and the security. I can't just tell why that we are not applying our intelligence to detect what actually and where is this source of problem coming up. When you look at, we have had enough that from all angles, weapons have been seized from all borders, in seaports, in the airport, and yet nobody has ever come to tell us the findings of where those weapons were going, who were those responsible for importing those weapons. It is not just today. Right from 2015 that we came here, we've been hearing on day in, day out that weapons are being imported. What are they being imported for? Who are those people responsible for? Where are our own intelligence arms of government that they could not trace all those importers of those weapons? And for what reason? Are the government aware of this? If the government claims not to be aware of it, what is the findings? I think the Senate also have to employ the Committee on Defense and the Security. Let them tell us, invite them to come and tell us the findings of those weapons and who are responsible for the importation of this weapon. And coming down to Kaduna, the governor is supposed not to travel without taking a permission. I think he's not supposed to travel without letting the House of Assembly know that yes, he's traveling. And yet he traveled. This is a calculated attempt. Probably he perceived that something of that nature is going to happen. Or maybe he conceived it, and that's why he traveled. And he quickly ran out. And when he came in, what has he done? These are issues that we need to ask. These are questions that Nigerians want to know. We want to receive answers to these questions. And we should know that yes, at least we should, Nigeria owns, the government owns Nigerian the responsibilities and the duty to tell us the findings on the weapons that have been imported and who are those responsible for it. I think when we do that, we can, and those people have been punished, then it will serve as a deterrent to anyone who is nursing that kind of notions and associate me that way.
We'll go to prayers. Prayer 1, special condolence visit to the people and government of Kaduna State on the lives that have been lost, Kasuwan, Magani, Kaduna Metropolis, and particularly Adara Chiefdom, who lost their king and kids. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Prayer 2, urgent call on Kaduna State government and federal government to quicken the process on the release of the paramount ruler of Adara land, Alboni Adara, who has been whisked away since a week ago. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Prayer 3, 1 minute silence for the repose and lives of those lost during the period. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Prayer 4, urgent need for NEMA to stand to assist those in need of assistance for food and other medical became trapped in their houses. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. Additional prayer, yes, Senator Jibril.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Barrow Jibril. I got a kind of lost. My additional prayer goes as follows. The relevant security agencies investigate the cause of the incidents with a view to bringing the perpetrators to justice, as well as devising permanent measure or measures for stopping such incidents from occurring in the future. I so move, Mr. President.
Any seconder? Yes, Senator Kabuga.
Yeah, I second the prayer moved by Senator Barrow Jibril.
What is it? What did you second? What did you second? You didn't tell me this.
Mr. President, I second the prayer moved by Senator Barrow Jibril, which is in order, sir.
What is it? Tell me.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the opportunity. It says the relevant security agencies will investigate the cause of the incidents with the view of bringing perpetrators to justice, as well as cleansing the permanent, I'm not using my glasses, but
Can we amend the prayer?
I think this prayer, sir,
Can we amend the prayer?
this prayer he raised is very, very important, sir.
Please,
Because most of the crises in these states, that the operators are not being punished. Since from 1992, when they started, all those found ones were not punished. It's either the government of the state or government of the federation are refusing to punish those people. So this prayer is very vital, sir. That's why I second the prayer.
So read it again.
The prayer reads that the relevant security agencies will investigate the cause of the incidents with the view of bringing the perpetrators to justice, as well as cleansing permanent measures or bringing permanent measures to stop it from happening in the future.
Can we?
What's the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Muhammad Adamu Aleru, representing Kebbi Central. Mr. President, I want to amend the prayer to read that the security agencies should investigate and arrest and prosecute all those that are found wanting in the perpetration of this violence.
The same thing. Then put the question of the additional prayer that the relevant security agencies should investigate the cause of these incidents with the plan of ensuring that those found guilty are, those found wanted are brought. And they should bring them to, what is the last sentence, sorry? Huh? They were brought to justice, yeah. Okay, those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Additional Senator Ablaya.
My own additional prayer, Yahya Abdullahi Kebino. It reads like this: commend the security agencies for the prompt manner in which they responded to the crisis, which prevented it from deteriorating into a large-scale conflagration. Commend the security agencies for the prompt manner in which they responded to the crisis, which prevented it from deteriorating into a large-scale conflagration.
Who is seconding that? Senator Marafa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Marafa, representing Zamfara Central. I rise to support the prayer moved by Dr. Abdullahi Yahya as stated. Yes, to commend the security forces for rising to the occasion promptly without allowing the situation to get out of hand.
Those in favor of the additional prayer of commending the security agencies for their prompt response and by their action preventing the situation from deteriorating or getting out of hand. Those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Senator Dino Melai.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, Dino Melaye, Kogi West. Mr. President, from the narration of what happened in Kaduna, we can see that what actually is the problem is that all this crisis is an economic crisis. In the middle.
Prayer. Prayer. Senator Dino, Senator Dio, go straight to your prayer. Just go straight to your prayer.
Mr. President, my prayer therefore is that we call on the federal government to fight hunger as is the principal reason for crisis across the land. So move.
Any seconder? Senator Uchendu.
Additional prayer. Yes. Mr. President.
Seconder. Okay, Senator Lidani, seconder.
My name is Joshua Lidani. I rise to second
the additional prayer that in view of the pervasive hunger in the land, yes, because of the pervasive hunger in the land, the federal government should initiate measures to alleviate poverty that is so pervasive in this land, and hunger, and to fight hunger.
All right. Those in favor of this additional prayer say aye. Those against this additional prayer say nay. The nays have it. Yeah, Senator Chendu.
Yeah. Madam President.
Chendu. Senator Chendu.
I've been recognized. Madam President, my additional prayer reads first. The relevant committee on legislative compliance should ensure, in the Senate, the full implementation of the resolutions of the Senate on the Summit on National Security. As so moved.
You repeat it.
The relevant committee on legislative compliance in the Senate should ensure the full implementation of resolutions of the Senate on the Summit on National Security. I so move, Mr. President.
Any second. Distinguished colleagues, let me thank those that have Senator Unkwi and those who contributed. Before then, let us observe the Azulal Prayer 3, the 1 minute silence for those that lost their lives during this period. Distinguished colleagues, coming out of the contributions to this last motion, there was a lot of those that spoke, talked on the issue of the fact that we keep on seeing a pattern where people are not held accountable or people are not punished. I think, distinguished colleagues, we as this chamber, we need to really find a day where we review the security situation in the country as regards these areas of where definitely there is a problem, and that is why we're seeing this incident repeating itself. And I would want to suggest that we'll pick a date sometime at the next time we're sitting to really discuss whether in an open session or a closed session, and really ask ourselves why this is happening. Because the contributions of most people felt that majority cause of this is the impunity or the fact that people have not been called to sanction, and that is why. And I think as the Senate we must come together, and I think we need to discuss that in a manner that is non-partisan, that thinks about the country at large, and where we can speak and review. And in doing that, the committees on defense, police, security agencies too, should be able to prepare and give us their own observations and their views, and then we can all contribute. If we all agree, we will pick a date where we'll have this. I would suggest it is better probably in a closed session we have that and discuss it frankly, and get the chairman to guide us to the observation and see whether we can come up with certain resolutions. Otherwise, we'll keep on coming back here again and again in different parts of the country until we find out why weapons that are seized find themselves back, why people who commit these efforts, nobody is being sanctioned, and etc., etc. So I think, distinguished colleagues, if we agree that we do that, then we'll fix a date. Yes, Leader, your contribution, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Very distinguished and respected colleagues. Mr. President, let me recall that from the 6th Senate to this one, 8th, the issue of security has been dealt with very, very extensively in all the sessions. This Senate, the 8th, I can say has done even deeper than the previous 6th and 7th Senates. What I think we need to do is not to talk about it again, because we had taken all the measures. We had discussed almost every issue. I think the leadership of the National Assembly should be able to engage the executive arm of government on the implementation of what we have recommended previously. Because it's going to be the same thing. We talk about it, but if nothing is done, or if things are done and we are not aware, we'll still be in one place. So I would suggest that we get the leadership of the National Assembly as a body, both the Senate and the House, and then engage the executive arm of government. Because at the end of the day, it is the executive that is supposed to take the measures that we are supposed to feel happy about. So I would suggest that we, rather than talk about it here, we do that. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I have a slightly different opinion about keeping quiet over matters that affect lives of citizens. It is true that we talk frequently, regularly about killings in the land. It's also true that the whole matter is an allied conspiracy. We are just shying away from responsibility. And if we must face the matter frontally, the better for us, because how much time are we going to involve the executive and the citizens? For example, a head of a security agency that is supposed to be responsible for stopping these killings, you ask him to come and explain. He said he will not come. And heaven has not fallen, and nothing is happening. So what do? We are in catch-22. It's a very terrible situation. And I think the more we learn to respect lives, the sanctity of lives, the better. We will keep talking. We will keep alerting Nigerians. We will keep telling people that people are dying, and it is our responsibility. Not only the executive. Government is made up of the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So we must do our own bit and ensure that we put the people on alert that this killing is still going on. You run away if you cannot be protected. That is what we can do. And I think we need to do more.
Okay, in as much as some of your comments are valid, but I think in part of doing more, I think this is the point the leader is taking to, in part of doing more, I mean, we have engaged, which is in line also with what Senator Chendu was talking about. In part of doing more, we have taken certain steps. Clearly, it has not worked. And if it has not worked, I think we owe it to even go further and be seen to have gone further again, at the end of the day, it's an executive that we implement, that we further engage with them, put the issues, even some of the issues you have raised now about the non-cooperation or certain head of security, let us put this before them and all the issues that matter. And we know that we have played our own part, because at the end of the day, you know, we always say it, the common man or woman doesn't know the difference between executive, as far as they are both government, and the responsibility at the end of the day falls on all of us. So unless anybody has any other different opinion before I put the question. Yes, Senator Alero, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, the same opinion. If you could recall, we devoted 2 sessions on security. And apart from that, we also spent a whole week and conducted security summit. We came up with very good resolutions, but unfortunately, we have not followed to see that these resolutions are implemented by the executive. So my suggestion is that maybe the Committee on Defense, perhaps maybe intelligence, and also the police, should be asked to see to the implementations of those resolutions we arrived at. Taking another 2 sittings or sessions, again discussing about it, I believe you're just going to be repeating ourselves. It's better we go for immediate implementation of those resolutions. It's better.
Yeah, I think the point which I do agree with leader is that even the implementation of those recommendations rise or depends again on the leadership at the executive level. Because let's be honest, one of the problems we're having is the lack of cooperation or collaboration in seeing those implementation at the level of the security agencies. So instead of us going round and round and that, as he suggested, I would say that we put together leadership, not only leadership, I think also chairman of some of those important committees, and have a session with the executive to put forward some of our observations, some of the things that we felt have not happened, because the implementation of those conclusions at those summits at the end of the day still will fall down at the head of the executive arm of government. So it's better, instead of going back to the agencies as sometimes you call them, or one or two have not come, we're just going to end up not doing anything. Let us, if we all agree for that, let's seek a session with the executive arm of government to discuss fully some of these are recommendations, observations, and put it at their doorstep. I hope that based coming from an arm of government that is as important, a new way approach will be taken. If we agree, then we will fix a date, and those in favor of that say aye, those against say nay. That is it. So we will fix a date for that, for leadership and heads of those committees like security, defense, police, and army. Yes. Leader, maybe we can, before the end of today, you can look at a date. Well, we have to look at a date that's convenient also for the executive arm of government. So we'll put in the request as soon as possible, and then we'll come and announce the date here in doing that. Yes? Okay. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. The first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Jibrin Barau on the Federal University of Agriculture, Ambata, Kano, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Agriculture, Dambata, Kano, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, SB 704, first reading.
Federal University of Agriculture, Dambata, Kano, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, SB 704, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Gilbert Nudge on the Federal University of Information and Communication Technology Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Information and Communication Technology Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, SB 705, first reading.
Federal University of Information and Communication Technology, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018, SB 705, first reading taken. Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Health on the National Health Insurance Act 2003, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Olariwaju Tajisho, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Tajisho.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Senator Olariwaju Tajisho, Ogun Central. I rise to move that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Health on the National Health Insurance Act 2003, Repeal and Reenactment, Bill 2018, SB 278. I do move.
Senator Fashi.
I'm Drew Fashi, representing the North Senatorial District. I rise to second that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Health on the National Health Insurance Act 2003, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 218, as moved by the Chairman.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Health on the National Health Insurance Act 2003, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018, SB 278. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Tejo should kindly come and lay your report. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of reports of the Committee on Science and Technology in respect of A, Raw Materials Research and Development Council Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018, B, Chemical Weapons Prohibition Bill 2018, C, National Biotechnology Development Agency Establishment, etc., Bill 2018, D, Federal Institute of Industrial Research Bill 2018, and E, Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology Establishment, etc., Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Robert Boniface, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the reports.
Senator Boniface.
Thank you, Mr. President. And my distinguished colleagues, my name is Robert Boniface, representing Ogun North. I rise to move that the Senate will receive the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the following bills. A, Raw Material Research and Development Council Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018. B, Chemical Weapons Prohibition Bill 2018. C, National Biotechnology and Development Agency Bill 2018. G, Federal Institute and Industrial Research Bill 2018, and the Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology Establishment Bill 2018. I so move.
Senator Suleiman Adokwe, Nasarawa South.
Mr. President, Suleiman Adokwe, Nasarawa South Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion raised by Senator Robert Ajayi Boniface that the Senate do receive the reports of the committee as enumerated by the distinguished Senator.
Distinguished, those in favor that the Senate do receive reports of the Committee on Science and Technology on the bills as stated by Senator Boniface. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Boniface, come and lay your reports. Okay. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, based on the request of the Chairman, Senate Committee on Establishment, I move that we stand down the presentation of the next business of the day till another legislative day. I so move.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we stand down the next item in the order paper till another legislative day. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. There is a leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion standing in the name of Senator David Umaru on the demise of Honorable Justice Idris Kutigi, CON, GCON, former Chief Justice of Nigeria. Mr. President, you recall that yesterday, Tuesday, 23rd of October 2018, the Senate by Order 42, subsection 2 of the Standing Order approved that this motion be moved on the next legislative day, which is today. Accordingly, you may wish to invite Senator David Umaru to move this motion.
Senator David Umaru.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is David Umaru. I represent Niger East Senatorial District. Mr. President, this is a motion on the demise of Honorable Justice Idris Lebo, GCON, former Chief Justice of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, this motion is being co-sponsored by Senator Ali Sabi Abdullahi, Niger North, and Senator Mustafa Sani, Niger South. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate notes with sadness and grief the demise of our erudite former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Idris Lebo Kutigi, patriotic Nigerian and a jurist par excellence. Further notes with deep sense of loss, sad demise of the revered former Chief Justice of Nigeria, which reportedly occurred in a London hospital on Sunday, October 21st, 2018, after a brief illness. The Senate recalls that the late Justice Idris Lebo Kutigi was born on 31st December 1939 in Kutigi Town, Labu local government area of Niger State, and died on the 21st of October 2018 at the age of 78 years. The Senate notes that the deceased jurist was an alumnus of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University area, as well as the School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London, and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1964. He had started his educational career by attending the elementary school in Kutigi Town and middle and secondary schools in Bidda, Niger State, before proceeding to the government college, now Barua College Zaria. The Senate recalls that the deceased former CJN was a gentleman who, during his lifetime, occupied the bench of questionable integrity, character, industry, dignity, and hard work, leaving behind indelible footprints and enduring legacies in the Nigerian judiciary. The Senate further recalls that the late former CJN had a distinguished career in the legal profession spanning over 40 years, serving the nation in various capacities, including the following: Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, Niger State, Judge of the High Court of Niger State, Justice of the Court of Appeal, Justice of the Supreme Court, and reached the pinnacle of the Apex Court as the Chief Justice of Nigeria before retiring on the 30th of December 2009 after attaining the mandatory retirement age of 70. The Senate also notes several landmark judgments delivered by the late former CJN which have enriched the Nigerian jurisprudence and judicial precedents, particularly in the cases of Plateau State of Nigeria and another versus AG Federation and another, and also the case of Buhari against INEC 2008, reported in LFPELR 814. These cases are, regarding the constitutional question under section 31(1) of the 1999 Constitution as amended, as to who to sue and or be sued on behalf of the state, and the State House of Assembly, as well as the judicial interpretation of the meaning of statutory respondents, are used in section 132(2) of the Electoral Act 2004 respectively. The Senate notes that the late Justice Kutigi was the first indigene of Niger State to be appointed to the Supreme Court bench and the first and only CJN in the history of Nigerian judiciary to swear in his successor. The Senate recalls that during his tenure as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, he initiated reforms that began the process of repositioning the Nigerian judiciary into a strong, independent, and impartial judiciary. Observes that the deceased was a patriot and nationalist whose devotion to the development of Nigeria spurred him to continue to serve the nation even after his retirement, as exemplified by his acceptance to serve as the chairman of the National Conference on Constitutional Matters, conveyed by the then President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, DCFR. The Senate further observes that the late former Chief Justice of Nigeria was a fair, impartial, and courageous peacemaker who never hesitated to step into the arena of conflict, that is, in non-judicial assignments, to reconcile feuding parties, even at the risk of his life, and this is demonstrated when he stepped in to separate the northern and southern politicians from physical confrontation over a disagreement on the holding of 1 minute silence on all those that died during the 1993 presidential election, that advocates of doing well. The Senate recalls that as a testament to his distinction in public service, the late Justice Kutigi was an awardee of several prestigious national awards, including the Commander of the Order of the Niger, CON, and the Grand Commander of the Order of Niger, GCON, just mentioned by the few. The Senate mourns and commiserates with the Nigerian judiciary, the government, and the good people of Niger State over the sad passing of this erudite jurist. The Senate accordingly resolves: 1. To observe a 1 minute silence in honor of the late Justice Idris Leko Kutigi, CON, GCON. 2. To constitute and send a high-powered delegation to commiserate with the family, government, and the good people of Niger State over the loss of this patriotic Nigerian and illustrious son of Niger State. 3. Urge the federal government of Nigeria to immortalize the late Justice Idris Leko Kutigi, CON, GCON, by naming a national monument in his honor. I so move.
Senator Leroy.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Muhammad Adamu Alero, representing Kebbi Central. Let me start by, first of all, commiserating with the government and people of Niger State over the death of late Honorable Justice Idris Leko Kutigi. May God Almighty give the latitude to the family to bear this irreparable loss. Late Justice Idris Kutigi was a man of impeccable integrity. He was a no-nonsense man. He was a judge that was considered to be one of the best in the country. He served this country meritoriously. In fact, many people saying that he is one of the few judges who was never corrupted. That's a very good name for a judge. Not only that, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I could recall that during the national conference, he was able to preside the national conference despite the fact that the delegates were divided on religious basis, on regional basis. But he brought his experience to bear, and he was able to conduct that conference peacefully. And he came up with very good recommendations that will strengthen our federation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the prayer that late Idris Kutigi should be immortalized. And this should be done not by Niger State government, but by the federal government. He served this country meritoriously. We lost him, we mourn his loss, and his loss will remain indelible in our mind. We pray to Allah Almighty to grant his soul eternal rest. Thank you.
Senator Abdullahi, Senator Aliyu Sabi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, Niger North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to join my brother who moved the motion, in saying that indeed the loss of this very great Chief Justice of Nigeria is not just a loss for us in Niger State, it's indeed a loss to this very great country. The personality is known to be very unassuming, which typifies what judicial officers are known to be. And at all times, he wants to see peace. He has contributed very, very well in the judiciary, which has been well documented. But I think of note is the fact that he has reminded us at all times to be very patriotic, to be very dutiful, and to remember that we shall be judged by what we do. Today he is no more. I believe whatever good legacies he has left behind is there for posterity to judge him. But what is important, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is for us to remember that whatever we do while we are having opportunity to serve will definitely come to dictate or to state who we are. And I think for this patriot, it is on record that he has contributed enormously, and his loss surely be missed. Definitely miss his candor, his integrity, and his patriotic stance on national issues. With these few comments, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to urge us definitely to look at the prayers when it is time. In particular, the issue of where we state that somebody should be immortalized. In many instances, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we set it and we leave it just bare. I think we should go a step further in doing something concrete to see that when we say somebody should be immortalized, he should truly be immortalized. Thank you.
Senator Wamako.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I'm Aliyu Wamako, North Central District of Central States. President, I want to align myself to all of what the last three speakers have said about this death problem that is Idris Kutigi. In addition, I want to add that he was initially one of the finest officers, justice officers in the northern region, then in north of Nigeria, the Niger, and then Nigeria as a country. whatever quality you may want to call a human being, this decision has matched that quality qualification. He is fine, honest, and sincere in all his dealings, both official and private. I know him very close, and I know him. He's one of those finest Nigerians that this country will definitely miss. When he served diligently, honestly, and sincerely, and his records are almost unbeatable. To this, Mr. President, I want to second the praise moved by Senator Debo Umaru about this late Honorable Justice Idris Kupeji. I so scored, Mr. President.
Senator Ume.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to lend my voice to the tributes in honor of this great Nigerian, late Justice Lebo Kutigi. I had known Kutigi when he was at the bench as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And at the bench, he demonstrated extraordinary integrity and calmness and disposition towards the dispensation of justice. He was always calm at the chambers of the Supreme Court and would always rarely speak on arguments before the Supreme Court. And anytime he rendered his own ruling, people were not in agreement. But Mr. President, I was privileged to come closer to late Justice Lebo Kutigi at the 2014 National Conference, where I was a delegate to that conference. He was the chairman of the conference and therefore the presiding officer at the conference. Just like Senator Adamu Alero said, the National Conference considered so many contentious issues. At some occasions, nerves will fray. People exchange words, even to the extent of attempting to engage in physical fights. Kutigi, as the chairman, will remain calm. And at the end of it all, he will rein in all the combatants and ensured that contributions continue to go on in various debates. It is therefore to his credit that despite the turbulent conference we had in 2014, without anybody fighting the other, we were able to reach 600 important resolutions on very important national issues by consensus. We never voted on any item. As much as people felt very strongly on certain matters, Kutigi was able to navigate the conference, both inside plenary and outside plenary, to reach middle grounds where everybody accepted some of those issues that were canvassed. He was therefore a man we cannot forget in a hurry. It is true that death has taken him away, but I consider Justice Lebo Kutigi as one of the fathers of this nation. He was somebody who wished Nigeria great. He was somebody who strove to ensure that we respected each other's views. He was somebody who sought to find solutions to so many things that tended to divide us as a people. In supporting the prayers in this motion, Mr. President, I will say that this name, Honorable Justice Lebo Kutigi, is one of the names Nigeria will preserve for posterity, because he was very dispassionate, very impartial.
completely detribalized in the manner he approached the conduct of the affairs of the National Conference. So I'm sure that many delegates to that National Conference will be mourning today. At the end of that conference, a chat group was opened in the WhatsApp group for those who attended the National Conference. And sometimes, Lebo Kutigi, as chairman of the conference, was struggling a comment in that chat room. So he followed everything and made that conference one that everybody who attended it will remember. We were able to build friendships in that conference. We will argue over issues and live and hug ourselves. I remember with nostalgia, Buba Galadima, who was a delegate to that conference. He was very loquacious. He was always contributing in one way or the other. You will disagree with him, but as soon as you leave the plenary out there, Galadima will come and call you, ask, Ume, come. We'll go somewhere and continue the discussions, and eventually we will agree and embrace. So this man was a brick builder. He will continue to be a reference point on the way our people should engage ourselves. So I mourn him, not only with the Niger people, I mourn him as a Nigerian. He's one of our heroes. May his soul rest in peace.
We'll go to the prayer. Prayer 1, observe 1 minute silence in honor of late Justice Idris Ebokochigi. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. That is it. Prayer 2, constitute and send a high-powered delegation to commiserate with the family, government, and good people of Niger State over the loss of this patriotic Nigerian and illustrious son of Niger State. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. Yes, I will. And prayer 3, urge the federal government of Nigeria to immortalize the late Justice Idris Ebokochigi, CONGCOM, by naming the national monument in his honor. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. Yes, I will. Can you please stand up to observe the 1 minute silence? Distinguished colleagues, let me join all those who have contributed on behalf of the Senate to commiserate with the Niger State, the family, and also the judiciary, condole the CJ on behalf of all the judges for the passing of a great Nigerian who, as we all said, has served this country very, very well. And it's a great loss to the entire country. But we're happy that he lived a life, left a great legacy, which we can all emulate, and those who are coming behind too can. And on our part, we'll continue to commiserate with the family, and may Almighty Allah grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus and forgive him for all his sins. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion standing in the name of Senator Mao Ohuwa Bungwa on the menace of gully erosion in several communities of Abia North, especially in Isiakwat, local government area communities of Uturu and Ogudusa. Mr. President, you recall that yesterday, the 23rd of October 2018, the Senate, via order 42/2 of our standing order, approved that this motion be moved on the next legislative day, which is today. Accordingly, you may wish to invite Senator Mao Ohuwa to move this motion.
Senator Mao Ohuwa.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Senator Mao Arugova, representing the entire people of Abia North Senatorial District. Mr. President, I want to thank you and my colleagues for giving me this opportunity to bring up this important motion that will impact on the life of my constituents of Abia North. The menace of gully erosion in several communities of Abia North, especially in Isukuato local government areas, and particularly communities of Utru and Ogudasa. The Senate, conscious of the need for the preservation, restoration and maintenance of the ecological environment of our local communities, for safe movement of citizens, easy transportation of goods, services, and for the entire peace, security and well-being of citizens, all of which require the taking of quick action to restore normalcy when such situations are impaired. Senate aware that the ecological environment of many communities in the local governments of Abia North, particularly Arochukwu, Ohafia, Bende, Isukuata, and Umunochi local governments, have all been facing serious menace of gully erosion, partly due to increased rainfall that exacerbates flooding.
519, 520, 521, 522, 523, 524, 525, 526, 527, 528, 529, 530, 531, 532, 533, 534, 535, 536, 537, 538, 539, 540, 541, 542, 543, 544,
especially the communities of Ogudasa and Uturu, with the consequent loss of valuable agricultural products and property, and with the attendant results of insecurity both locally and beyond the state, all of which require urgent intervention to arrest the situation before another heavy rain season sets in. Mr. President, the Senate accordingly resolves to my prayers. 1, to urge the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, and the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to quickly intervene to rescue the situation and restore easy mobility of vehicles, citizens, goods and services throughout the affected areas of Isukuato local government, Ogudasa, Utru communities, and indeed the entire Abia North. 2, urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to quickly provide relief materials to the displaced citizens in the affected communities of Utru and Ogudasa, as well as other erosion-affected communities of Abia North, particularly Arochukwu, Ohafia, Bende, Isukuato, and Umunochi, who are all in limbo as I speak. And finally, urge the Nigerian Ecological Fund and the Nigerian Erosion and Watershed Management Project, NEWMAN, to urgently collaborate to seek a permanent solution to the endemic gully erosion menace in Isukuato, Utru, and Ogudasa by way of funding and construction of a new route that links the communities with other areas surrounding the state. Mr. President, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to state that this motion is very urgent, because as I speak today, you can't link up Ebonyi, Anambra, Enugu, from that road to Abia, through Abia State, which is this quarter. And like I said, this is an agrarian area that they are cut off from their farmlands. and it's a big accident really about to happen. And if nothing is urgently done, at least to rescue the situation and restore the road, then maybe the news will be quite different. So I urge my colleagues to support this motion and also ask the Committee on Legislative Compliance to follow the resolution that we reach here today to ensure that something urgent is done. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, and to Stella go.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dear colleagues, my name is Stella Adeze Odua and I represent Anambra North. Mr. President, I want to support this wonderful motion from my dear brother. But Mr. President, I would like to say a few words in support of this wonderful motion. Mr. President, I come from an area where today we are completely submerged into gullies of different types because of erosion. People will wake up in the mornings and their homes will completely disappear. People will wake up and their farmlands will no longer be there because of erosion. It happens in a very accelerated manner. Mr. President, I want to urge that on this bill that my community and other communities that have similar experience be included. Because it's life-threatening. Not only that, it's horror, life horror, that people will wake up and their homes will be divided into two, or the homes will no longer exist. It happens to us every day. I have personal experience. It has happened to me. It has happened to a whole community. In fact, 3 weeks ago, we have a community that really disappeared. Half of the land and the farmland, they were no longer there. And so, Mr. President, I support this motion, but I want to urge that this motion should be expanded, that these communities, mine in particular, be included, Anambra North and Anambra in general. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Solomon Adokwe. Solomon Adokwe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to support this motion and make these few comments. The phenomena of erosion and famine very prevalent in this country now. Though natural, but we need to do something to mitigate the prevalence of it. I recall in the 7th Senate, Mr. President, you were chairing the Environment Committee. And I recall that I also had to submit some horror pictures of what took place in Nasarawa State. I know how you work very hard in that committee to see that funds meant for ecological development were applied. I think what this Senate needs to do is to ask the Committee on Environment to really do a thorough investigation of what is happening to ecological funds in this country. We know that some proactive governors have had to expend their state government funds to deal with erosion issues and even requiring for some refunds. I believe that since these funds are deducted at source, there is a need for thorough accountability that these funds are applied where they are required to be applied. Because erosion is now becoming a very serious matter. Recently, I was watching a project on the TV where, just like the last speaker said, houses will just disappear into gully erosions and communities, a whole community will be wiped out. I think we need to stand up and do something about this across the country before it becomes a disaster that we cannot cope with. I know that we are very slow at responding to natural disasters, but this is something that is within our competence to deal with. I suggest, Mr. President, that the Committee on Environment should wake up and really investigate what needs to be done with ecological funds in this country. Thank you very much.
Senator Shafa.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Senate President, Senator Benga Shafa, representing representing Lagos Senatorial District. I rise to commend my brother, Senator Mao, and other speakers for supporting this very, very important motion. We want the Senate President to recall that when you were chairman, Committee on Environment in the 7th session, you started something that if the federal government had worked on it, we wouldn't be where we are as far as erosions of all kinds are concerned. For instance, my brother Senator Mao has limited his own area of concern to gully erosions. But I am from the coastal area, Lagos, for instance. The coastal erosion that is currently happening in Lagos now is unprecedented. And I can tell you specifically that we are crying for help from the federal government. I wouldn't want to limit this to only Lagos. States that are within the coastal areas like Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, Cross Rivers, they are equally suffering the same menace. On this note, therefore, I want to suggest that what you suggested in the 7th Senate should come to bore. We should bring it to fore right now, and that is ensuring that a proper audit of all erosion-ridden areas in Nigeria is done. If we are able to do that, then the appropriate agencies will work on that and ensure that we appropriate enough funds for these menace to be mitigated. Thank you and God bless.
Senator Kabila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to like cabinet. Mr. President, I just want to draw the attention of the Senate to the special circumstances in which the Southeast zone in particular finds itself. The entire Southeast zone, with the exception of some few areas, is made up of a soil type which is typical to that zone. Mainly shale types of soils. So what has been happening is that any form of cultivation or activity that involves desiccation or disturbing of vegetation and exposing the soils to any form of disturbance, either through agricultural practices or through some adverse movement of the soil during construction, will ultimately result in the breakdown of the composition of the soil and its capacity to keep itself together. So mainly the ecology of the area, the soil type is made out of shale. Therefore, the only way in which we can really look into this, no amount of mitigation. All you can do some, unless you are going to revegetate the entire area, the only way you can be able to do is to designate that zone as a special agroecological zone, whereby you designate certain types of agricultural cultivation and certain types of agricultural intervention that will not involve so much disturbance of the soil. Because given the heavy rainfall in the area, and given the nature of the soils in that particular zone, any activity, whether agricultural, construction, or anything that exposes the soil to any form of disturbance would result in gully erosion, and as such, in designing development interventions, whether in agriculture, road construction, or whatever, we should designate that region as a special region with special soil characteristics, so that the approach that we undertake to develop that region will take into account that that peculiarity of that particular disease. Otherwise, anything that we do, mitigation or otherwise, will not go to solve the problem. Unless the government comes to recognize the special characteristic of the soil conditions of that area, so that we will now designate that particular zone as a special zone, so that any kind of development intervention that we are going to take to that zone will have to be tailored in accordance with the mitigatory factors that prevent soil erosion and breakdown of soil particles in the area. So I think the most important thing is really for the government to recognize the nature of the soil characteristics of the zone and designate that zone as a special area, so that whatever intervention you are going to design in that zone takes into account the peculiarity of the soil conditions of that area, so that these kind of issues can be mitigated and we can approach their development in a peculiar manner. Otherwise, whatever you do, this thing will happen unless you take that particular kind of condition into account. Thank you, Mr. President.
Prayer 1, urge the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing and Federal Road Maintenance Agency FEMA to quickly intervene to rescue the situation and restore easy mobility of vehicles, citizens, goods and services throughout the affected area of Ogudu and Uturu communities. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those amendment, yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Rabi Musa Konkosor, representing Kano Central. Mr. President, the amendment is to say that urge the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, Ministry of Environment, to quickly intervene to rescue the situation and restore easy mobility of vehicles, citizens, goods and services throughout the affected areas of Oguduasa, Turu communities, and all other affected communities across the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any seconder? Yes, and Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Joshua Daniel. I rise to second the proposed amendment.
Those in favor of prayer 1 as amended to include other communities across the country. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Second prayer, urge the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA to quickly provide relief materials to displaced citizens in the affected communities of Turu and Agudiasa and many other, as well as the other erosion affected communities in the 5 local governments of Abia North who are also in limbo. Those in favor of the prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge the Nigerian Ecological Fund and the Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project to urgently collaborate to seek a permanent solution to the endemic gully erosion menace in Ishukwa, Turu, and Ogunduasa by way of funding and construction of the new route that links the communities with other areas and surrounding states. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer? Yes, additional prayer. Senator Jibrin.
Senator Baro Jibrin, Kano North. My additional prayer is that authorities should take cognizance of the soil type that exists in the southeastern part of the country in finding lasting solution to the problem of gully erosion in that region. I so move.
Okay, let me hear you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's urged the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Federal Ministry of Environment to designate the Southeast Zone as a special agroecological zone with distinct characteristics that require special targeted intervention in the area of agriculture and other development activities. That requires special targeted intervention in the area of agriculture and other development activities. I so amend.
No.
Yeah,
Anybody seconding that? Senator Mao.
Arise, Senator Mao Wabunwa, arise to second this all-important additional, it's not an amendment, it's additional prayer. Additional prayer by our elder statesman who was a former permanent secretary, Dr. Abdullahi Yaya.
What is the prayer?
Development of the area and an interventionist program be established. Yes.
Let's take this prayer first. So the prayer here is to urge the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Environment to what is the prayer again? To designate Southeast. Okay.
Targeted intervention in agriculture and other development purposes that require targeted intervention for agriculture and other development purposes.
Okay, those in favor of the prayer then say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer. Yes, Senator Shafa.
Thank you once again, Senate President, distinguished colleagues. My additional prayer goes thus. Urge the Nigerian Ecological Fund, Nigerian Erosion Watershed Management New Map, and Ministry of Environment to address other erosion menace in our coastal areas, including Lagos, Bayelsa, Delta, Edo, Cross Rivers, and other affected areas where there is this erosion menace.
Any English colleagues? You want to second? Senator Adiola second.
Thank you, Mr. President. Adiola Solomon Olamilekon. I rise to second the motion as moved by Senator Benga Shafa. I so second.
Okay. Those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Colleagues, I want to thank the additional prayer. Senator Adiola Olamilekon.
It's in your own interest. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, my prayer is this because I listen with rapt attention to my colleague, and that I know that there's a dedicated fund that is set aside to take care of this erosion menace across the country. In line with that, I move that my additional prayer is mandate the Committee on Environment and Ecology to carry out a proper audit of the ecological fund account, specifically set aside to take care of, to put into cognizance proper usage and ascertain that the fund has been properly applied for the purpose in which it was set for, and to report back in 4 weeks.
But Senator Adiola, surely isn't that part of the responsibility anyway for the committee? That's what the committee should do. So I think it's more of us to call the chairman of the committee to tell us what they have been doing. I think so. I don't think that needs any additional prayer. Distinguished colleagues, I thank Senator Mao for that, and we do hope that the chairman of environment will oversee some of these resolutions to ensure that they are put into action, is taken promptly, so that the communities who are presently being affected can find some kind of respite and relief. Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, the third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Sports and Social Development on the screening of the nomination of Mr. Lare Bajabe Mila for appointment as Director General National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Distinguished senators will recall that the request was referred to the committee yesterday, Tuesday, the 23rd of October 2018. Mr. President, we wish to invite Senator Obi Naugba, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Senator Obina.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Obina Oba, Ebonyi Central. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Sports and Youth Development on the confirmation of the nomination of Mr. Larry Bajabi Mila for appointment as Director General, National Lottery Regulatory Commission. I so move.
Senator Ashafa.
Thank you once again, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Sports and Youth Development on the confirmation of the nomination of Mr. Larry Bajabiamila for appointment as Director General, National Lottery Regulatory Commission. I so second.
So, those in favor that Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Sports and Youth Development on the confirmation of Mr. Bajabiamila for appointment as Director General, National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Senator Ogba, come and lay your reports and present it.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Obina Oba, Ebonyi Central. Sir, the Senate at its plenary section on Tuesday, 23rd October 2018, considered the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for the confirmation of nominee Mr. Larry Bajabi as Director General, National Lottery Commission. And refers him to the committee for further legislative action. Members of the committee are myself and 8 others. Members. The committee action. The committee requested the Office of the Special Advisor to the President of National Assembly matter to submit the following document: CV, related certificate, clearance for State Security Services Police report, so on and so forth. The nominee was invited for screening on Wednesday, 24th this morning. The committee went through the credentials, CV, State Security Services clearance, code of conduct, and police report. During the screening, the committee asked the nominee several questions relating to his educational background, work experience, and his plans for the National Lottery Regulatory Commission. The nominee answered the questions satisfactorily. The committee's findings arising from the screening exercise The committee noted as follows, that Mr. Larry Bimina was born on July 26, 1960.
Chairman, go to recommendations.
Distinguished colleagues, the committee recommends that the Senate do adopt and confirm the nominee, Mr. Larry Bimina, as the Director General, National Lottery Commission. On behalf of the Senate Committee on Sports and Youth Development, I wish to thank the Senate President and my colleagues for your attention and opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, any comments? If not, ask leader for us to go to committee of the whole. Yes, leader. Move for us to go to committee of the whole.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate resolve committee of the whole for the Senate to consider the report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that we resolve into committee of the whole to consider this report as a second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, if no comments, let me put the question. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Lani Bajabiamila as Director General of National Lottery Regulatory Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse the plenary for the chart report progress.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we revert to plenary to report progress as was second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Sports and Youth Development on the screening of Mr. President's nominee for appointment as Director General, National Lottery Regulatory Commission, and approve the nomination of Mr. Lani Bajabiamila as Director General, National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in Committee of the Whole? Therefore, I now put the question, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mr. Lani Bajabiamila for appointment as Director General, National Lottery Regulatory Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mr. Lani Bajabiamila is hereby confirmed as the Director General, National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service on the screening of the following persons for appointment as Chairman and Commissioners for the Federal Civil Service Commission. They are 1. Dr. Bello Tukur Ngawa, OON, MNI, Chairman, Kaduna State, new appointment. 2. Moses Musa Mbale, Commissioner, Adamawa State, new appointment. 3. Waziri Umara Ngurno, MNI, Commissioner, Borno State, new appointment. 4. Alhaji Bello Mahmoud Babra, Commissioner, Jigawa State, new appointment. 5. Architect Ahmed F.M. Sarna, FNI, Commissioner, Kebbi State, new appointment. 6. Princess Iyabode Odulate Yusuf, Commissioner, Ogun State, new appointment. 7. Sheikh Umar Danyaya, Commissioner, Niger State, new appointment. 8. Fatai Newton Adebayo, Commissioner, Oyo State, new appointment. 9.
Chief Joe Michael Chukwuemeka, Commissioner Anambra State, new appointment. 10. Joy Philip Poroma, Commissioner River State, new appointment. 11. Alhaji Ibrahim Mohammed, Commissioner Kaduna State, renewal of appointment. 12. Professor Aminu Dio Shedu, Commissioner Kogi State, renewal of appointment. 13. And 13, Mr. Simon Etum, Commissioner Akwa Ibom State, renewal of appointment. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid yesterday, Tuesday, the 23rd of October, 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Emmanuel Walker, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Senator Walker. Mr. President, Senator Walker Emmanuel is my name. I rise to move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service on the confirmation of the following person listed below for appointment as Chairman and Commissioners to the Federal Civil Service Commission. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator John Eno.
Mr. President, my name is John Owaneno, Cross River Central. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved by Senator Walker.
Those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service on the confirmation of the following of the persons for appointment as chairman and commissions as listed by the leader. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Walker, present the report. Thanks.
Mr. President, the Senate at its plenary sitting on Wednesday, 18 July 2018, considered the request by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces for the confirmation of nominees as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. After deliberation and executive communication, the Senate referred it to the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service via order of referral dated Tuesday, 24th July 2018 for further legislative actions and to report back with its recommendation. Legislative process. In furtherance of foregoing referral and as part of the committee mandate, the committee requested for and received the CV, security clearances, and other supporting documents of the nominees and invited them to appear before it for screening. On Monday, 22nd October 2018, nominees appeared before the committee. The committee examined the CV and other supporting documents as well as security clearances and thereafter screened them. The committee interviewed the nominees and received explanations regarding their qualification, experience in civil service, competence and integrity to assume the position of chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. The nominees were screened in the following order: the chairman and the other 12 members as indicated in this report below. Observation and findings as reflected on page 16. That in the course of carrying out this assignment, the committee was guided by the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. It was observed, however, that the composition of the Federal Civil Service Commission as presented to the Senate complied with the provision of the Constitution as well as the Federal Character Principle. For the avoidance of doubt, the composition of the board as per geographical zone as presented to the Senate is as follows: Northwest 4, Northeast 2, North Central 2, Southwest 2, Southeast 1, South-South 2. It must be added here that 7 commissioners are saved in the commission, which is that of Abia and Plateau. Mr. President, at this point, let me go straight to the recommendation of the committee. The Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service, having screened and after a careful scrutiny of the CV and other accompanying documents of nominees, and having regard to their exposure, experience in public service matters, performance, qualification, and competence, hereby recommends that the Senate do confirm the nomination of the Chairman, Dr. Bello Tuko, Moses Musa as member, Waziri Wara as member, Alhaji Bello Muhammad Jigawa as member, Architect Ahmed as member, Princess as member, Sheikh Uma as member, Fateh Newton as member, Chief Ejo as member, Joe Philip as member, Alhaji Ibrahim as member, Simon Itim as member, Professor Mino as member. Chairman as chairman and members of the Federal Civil Service Commission, respectively. I so move, Mr. President.
Any questions? Yes, Senator Rozoko.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, Rozoko, Cross River, North. Mr. President, I want to commend the committee for a job well done. And while commending the committee for a job well done, I want to raise an issue in respect of the nomination and of Mr. Simon Etim of Akwa Ibom State. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as we all know, Akwa Ibom State is paired up with Cross River State, as indeed most states of the Federation are all paired up. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, 2 days ago, myself and my two colleagues from Cross River State, Senator John Owaneno and Senator Gresham Bassey, brought a motion to the floor, and we were requested to hold on until this matter was tabled, as it was already slated on the other paper for presentation. Mr. Chairman, the crux of that motion was that we had noted that in the past 4 appointments spanning over a period of 20 years, the appointment of commissioners from Cross River and Akwa Ibom State has always been on a rotation of 5 years each. And indeed, that rotation was sustained until the present, until this year, when the present commissioner, Mr. Simon Etim, who is later here, finished his 5-year term. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as we speak, the whole of Cross River State is agitated because the tradition and the norm that had been was being broken, and the incumbent was being suggested again for another 5 years. Mr. President, we are aware that in the Act itself, there's a provision for a renewal for another 5 years. But in the wisdom of the executive, of Mr. President, in the past, they had always rotated it on a 5-yearly term. Mr. President, it is because of the sensitive nature of this appointment, because the teeming use of any particular state see this as an avenue for them to have an opportunity to get employed into the Federal Civil Service. Mr. President, what we are saying is that we are appealing and we crave the indulgence of this House that the matter between Cross River and Akwa Ibom be stepped down and it should be reconsidered on the basis of the norm that had been. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so submit.
Point of order, distinguished Senator.
Thank you very much, distinguished President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Nelson Effiong, Akwa Ibom South. Mr. President, may I refer this distinguished Senate to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 153.1 and 156.3. Mr. President, in 153.1, there is a provision for the creation of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Now, sir, if we go to 156.3, it says, with your permission, and I read, no person shall be qualified for appointment to any of the bodies so mentioned in 153(1). Aforesaid, if having previously been appointed as a member otherwise than as an ex-officio member of that body, he has been reappointed for a further term as a member of the same body. What that provision means, Mr. President, is that somebody is entitled to 2 terms, after which he cannot be appointed. Sir, since the creation of Akwa Ibom State from Cross River, the 2 sister states have lived in peace, in harmony, they love each other, and there had been no issue of infighting or an appointment. I think what my sister has referred to in the past must have been done haphazardly. In the wisdom of the present administration, they want to follow the law and regularize this appointment such that when one state finishes 2 terms, it goes to the other state. I want to appeal to my brothers and sister in Cross River to have their patience. Once this person fulfills his 2 terms appointment, it will now go to them. And secondly, sir, the presidency must have been aware of the huge, to use the word in quotes, the huge appointment presently to the Cross River. Presently, sir, Cross River has the Chief Justice of the Federation, the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, the Auditor General of the Federation, and Chief of Naval Staff of the Federation, and Akwa Ibom has nothing. If this small position as a member of the Civil Service Commission should, please, sir, I appeal to them to keep their appeal. Thank you very much.
It's okay. This is a pitiable situation. Okay.
Yes, Senator Ajuda.
Mr. President, order! Hey, order! Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, mine is just for the Senate to take note that we in the FCT had never had a commissioner and we were attached with Niger and FCT. And maybe because we didn't have a governor who would lobby for us or something. But when we came and we got the slot, out of all these years that the civil service was established, we had 1 slot which we served. Immediately we served out our term, our commissioner was removed. He should have been allowed to serve his second tenure. But I know it's not mandatory, but courtesy demands that he should have served a second term. But however, we have trust and belief that by the grace of God Almighty, by next time, we'll be able to get it right and do it for ourselves. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean. Senator Samegu.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Sam Egu representing Ebonyi North, Senatorial District. Mr. President, rise to support Senator Rose Boko. But in supporting her, I want to bring to your notice, or to the Senate notice, that what has happened to her is also similar to what has happened to Ebonyi State. If you look at number 9, with regards to the commissioner from Anambra State, I don't have anything against him as an individual. But the issue is that Anambra State just ended their tenure now. They've been there for 5 good years. Anambra. So now it's not a situation of now reappointing, but maintaining the position in the same state. Before that tenure, Enugu State was there, and they were there for 5 years. Before Enugu, it was there for 5 years. Now, allowing Anambra to stay 10 years means that before it comes to Ebonyi State, it's another 15 good years. And that is no good for us. Mr. President, I think if the executive did not take the implication of this into cognizance, it is left for us at the Senate to please put things in order before our people will represent down home, so that they will see that the right thing is done. The executive may not have put their mind into the implications of what of this nomination. But that is why it came to us for us to look at it critically and balance and do the rightful so that our constituents will feel that justice has been done. Mr. President, I feel that we are here to make sure we help the executive to do the right thing. And that is why I stand that support this motion, that while we should stand down this committee's report so that the right thing should be done. That is the position. So, Mr. President, I stand for that.
Leader of the Senate.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, very distinguished and respected colleagues. Mr. President, if we look at the clustering of states, it shows that most of the clusters compose of states that are related or once together. I think I sympathize with our colleagues who raised those issues, but I also believe very firmly that what we need to emphasize is one, to ensure that the appointed federal commissioners do not see themselves as representing their states. They are representing the clusters. Two, Mr. President, our Committee on Establishment and other committees must ensure that we supervise and oversight the Federal Civil Service so that no state is shortchanged. I think if we do that, we would have a better understanding of ourselves rather than thinking that it has to be someone from my state before my people would be employed. I think the essence is to have that brotherhood and fairness and equity. So let's ensure that we intensify our oversight that nobody is eventually shortchanged. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, I think if we can appeal, we make progress because, as was highlighted by the leader, I think we just have to ensure that there's equity and fairness. The Constitution permits the executive to give whoever it is a second tenure, but at the same time, if we believe that it should only be one term, but most important thing is whoever is there to ensure that there's equity and fairness. So I want to appeal, let us make progress. It's not only Cross River and Ebonyi, even in my own state too, Kogi is being given 2 terms. So I think if we can take it in our own place, so I think let's just move on as we find it. Leader of the Senate, the Result Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate Resolution Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I second that the Senate resolve into a committee of the whole. I so second.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, let me put the question as regards each of the members. Okay, will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Bello Tuko Gawa as chairman for the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Moses Musa Bale as Commissioner for the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Waziri Umara Ngunu as Commissioner, Federal Civil Service Commission. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Alhaji Babura as Commissioner of Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Will the Senate approve nomination of Architect Sama as Commissioner for the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Princess Yusuf as Commissioner for the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Danyaya as Commissioner, Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Adebayo O as Commissioner, Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Chukwu Kemeka as Commissioner, Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Joe Poroma as Commissioner, Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Alhaji Mohammed as Commissioner for the Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Professor Seidu as Commissioner of Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Etim as Commissioner of Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Simon Etim as Commissioner for the Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse plenary for the charge report progress.
Mr. Chairman, I second that we revert to plenary to report progress.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Parker, just a question. Those of the commissioners for renewal, when did their tenure actually end? The three that have come for renewal, when did their tenure actually end? No, how long ago?
Their second term, huh?
This is their second term. Yes. Yes, this year. In fact, one from Ekiti just ended last week.
No, the 3 year, like Kaduna, Kogi, Akwa Ibom. This year. Oh, okay. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Establishment and Public Service on the screening of Mr. President's nominees for the appointment as Chairman and Commissioners for the Federal Civil Service Commission, And I approve the nomination of Dr. Bello Tuko Ngawa as chairman, Dr. Moses Ngwele as commissioner, Waziri Ngurun as commissioner, Barbara as commissioner, Akide Sama as commissioner, Princess Yusuf as commissioner, Shehu Danyaya as commissioner, Fatah Adebayo as commissioner, Chukwu Emeka as commissioner, Joe Poroma as commissioner, Alhaji Mohammed as commissioner, Professor Sheidu as commissioner, Mr. Intim as commissioner, and as chairman and commissioner of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? I now put the question: will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Bello Tuko Ngawa as chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Dr. Bello Tuko Ngawa is hereby confirmed as chairman for the Federal Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Moses Ngwele as commissioner for the Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Moses Ngwele is hereby confirmed as commissioner for the Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Waziri Ngurun as commissioner of the Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Moses Ngurun is hereby confirmed as commissioner for the Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Alhaji Babura as commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Alhaji Babura is hereby confirmed commissioner of Federal Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate hereby confirm Architect Sama as commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Architect Sama is hereby confirmed commissioner of Federal Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Princess Yusuf as commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Princess Yusuf is hereby confirmed commissioner of Federal Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Fatah Adebayo as commissioner of Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Fatah Adebayo is hereby confirmed as commissioner of Federal Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm Chief Michael Chukwu Emeka as commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Michael Chukwu Emeka is hereby confirmed as commissioner of Federal Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm nomination of Joe Poroma as commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Joe Poroma is hereby confirmed as commissioner for the Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Alhaji Ibrahim Mohammed as commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Alhaji Ibrahim Mohammed is hereby confirmed commissioner of Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Professor Sheidu as commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Professor Sheidu is hereby confirmed as commissioner for the Civil Service Commission. Will the Senate hereby confirm the nomination of Mr. Simon Etim as commissioner of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Simon Etim is hereby confirmed as commissioner for the Federal Civil Service Commission. On behalf of the Senate, I hereby confirm the newly... I did. Okay, will the Senate hereby confirm Shehu Danyaya as commissioner of the Federal Civil Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Shehu Danyaya is hereby confirmed as commissioner of the Federal Civil Service Commission. Let me congratulate all the new members of the Federal Civil Service Commission. I wish them a successful tenure. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, I move that we stand down the consideration of the remaining items on the order paper till another legislative date. I so move.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that we stand down the remaining items on the order paper for another legislative day. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished and respected colleagues, Mr. President, with your permission, let me congratulate very distinguished Senator Osinaka Chukwu Idiozu, representing Rivers West, for moving from PDP to the APC. Congratulations, my brother. Mr. President, with that announcement, I move that the Senate do adjourn till 6th of November 2018 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move. 6th November.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, I will not wish our brother I will wish him Godspeed because I know where he is going. So let me on this note second this motion that the Senate adjourn till the day as stated by the leader. So second.
Distinguished colleagues, just before I put the question, these are committees that are going to carry out the oversight. It's only plenary session that has been suspended. We expect our committees to carry out the oversight during this period, particularly if you recollect that when we debated the Eurobond, there were a lot of questions on the implementation and utilization of those loans. But because of the expediency and the demand for the executive that we approve those loans, we did it, but with the understanding that our committees will quickly go and do oversight of the MDAs to see that those loans have been properly utilized, and also budget implementation of 2018, and also the poverty social intervention program that we raised. So I'd like all our committees during this period to carry out the necessary oversight so that you can report when we do resume back to plenary. So the committees will still be meeting during this period till Tuesday, the 6th of November. Distinguished colleagues, also is to make the announcement on poverty alleviation, the slight adjustment, the chairman Danjumala and Vice President Sentokuma. Let me now put the question. Those in favor that the Senate hereby adjourn to Tuesday, 6th of November, those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Hereby plenary is hereby adjourned to Tuesday, 6th November, 10 a.m. prompt.
Okay, for half of them. Just the family. If you come to me. So yeah, just...
You will agree with me that today's deliberation has been intensive and of course productive. It's on this note we want to specially thank you for being part of today's plenary. Well, I would love to leave this with you. We should never forget that government is ourselves and not an alien power over us. So let's be our brother's keepers and live in unity. Until we come your way again, hopefully 6th November 2018, we are saying be blessed and be patriotic. Until then, I'm Christy Ewodagi. Goodbye.